Thank you so much for tuning in today. You are listening to Society Bites Radio. My name is Jillian Beth, and I'm an intuitive healer and coach on a mission to empower women by reconnecting them to their inner wisdom. And I'm so grateful to have you all here with us today. And I'm really excited for our guest. We have a lot of amazing conversations. Miss Nick Doctor, the newly Dr. NIKKI SAMMET. So thank you for coming on with us today, NIKKI. And everyone, do make sure that you stay tuned not only until the end of the show because she has a very special offer for you, but also next week where she's going to be coming back to talk about advice for women from a woman. Now, a little bit about Miss Dr. NIKKI. She is a psychologist, women's business and life coach, social influencer, and writer. She has a master's degree in leadership development and a PhD in clinical psychology. She specializes in working with female entrepreneurs by empowering them to identify their passions and turn them into profit. I'm sure you guys can already see why I love this lady. Now, she works heavily on mindset, mindfulness, and authenticity training. Dr. NIKKI is a yoga teacher, a transcendental meditation practitioner. She lives in San Diego with her husband, Jared, her such a cute dog Pax, and her new little baby on the way. Her professional background includes recruiting, sales, coaching, brand strategy, social media, and leadership development. She has led teacher training programs, workshops, and loves building community with other badass women. Love it. Welcome, Dr. NIKKI.
What an intro. I feel like I'm done for the day now. I am finished.
Mic drop. No, you can't leave because we're talking about such a cool topic today, turning passion into profit. I love this topic.
I love this topic too, and I love it because it is really my story. And that is what I love to share is what, and that's what I've seen a lot happen with many of my clients and other female entrepreneurs that I'm working with, is that everything stems from passion. And if we just follow what our genuine interest is, it will eventually, with hard work, commitment, determination, and all the right skills, will turn into profit. And so I love sharing that with the world and with you. And I can't wait for us to get into it today.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with, everything encompassing soul purpose and living out what you came here to fulfill. This is a beautiful addition or blend into that. So I think, what would be awesome is if we could start with a little bit of your backstory and how you really got to this place where you're empowering people to turn their passion into profit. Because I'm guessing, kind of like you said, there's a very strong underlying personal story or aspect to that.
Mm. Well, it's been a journey, and it hasn't always been a pretty one. I think that's everybody's story, is that there's so many twists and turns and dark days and joyful days. There's, that's the ride. And I finally learned how to be more present with the ride and be okay with the ride and go with the flow more with the ups and downs of life rather than trying to figure everything out. And so I would say that the journey, it started a very, very long time ago, and I won't take up the whole episode with my story. But what I'll start is that I always knew from a very young age, one, that I loved teaching and helping people. I can still see it in my head when I was little. I had to play teacher, and I always wanted to be teacher and have my students, and I loved that interaction of just helping people have those light bulb moments. So it started very young, and I noticed as I've looked back, every single opportunity in regards to whether it was athletics or it was, part-time jobs as I was growing up, and then moving into my teenage years, my adult years, and then into obviously the corporate world. The roles that I've always had have always had to do with identifying individuals struggles and their passions, and then igniting the fire for them to go after those things. And if it was a struggle, it was then helping them solve the problem in order to get out of that box that they were in. And I didn't realize that those even with that was friends and all that was just what kept coming to me. And so I kind of dabbled in this area. I would say within the last decade, I've tried several different things, from coaching to leading teacher training, as you mentioned in my bio, and doing just different avenues to get involved with helping people elevate themselves. And it wasn't until I got my dog Pax that it all came together. And at the same time, I got my puppy Pax, and I had no idea what this was going to evolve into. I was also coaching and getting my PhD in clinical psychology at this time. And Pax, he just brought me so much joy, and I just started taking photos of him. I just, of all the quirky moments, the sweet moments, the fun moments, all the adventures. I also have a terrible memory. So taking photos was a part of his journal that I was creating. And I put the pictures up on Instagram, and all of a sudden it started to naturally just grow. And I didn't know what I was getting myself into at the time, but I noticed that it was growing, and I loved the community that I was with. It wasn't just the fact that the account was growing, it was that I met all these amazing women who also had dogs. And so all of a sudden, when we leave college and we have this group of people, we don't really necessarily have that in our young adult or our young 20s. It's challenging to make friends again because we're in the real world and we don't always have the same things in common anymore until we do. So I started creating this community. And then I became really interested in how an Instagram account grew. So I studied. I mean, obviously I'm an academic, and so I'm really interested in how things work and why things work and how to improve myself. So I learned how to grow the account. And then before I knew it, it was just in the thousands, and then 20,000s, 30,000s, 40,000s, and it kept going. And now, we're right at that 70,000 mark, and it's just crazy. But my point is what I realized was throughout this process is that all I did was follow my passion. That's it. All I did was follow what I was interested in. And I didn't know that was going to turn into first brand collaborations first with him and then with me. I didn't know that was going to turn into originally I started coaching influencers who wanted to grow their accounts. But then it turned into working with female entrepreneurs who wanted to use their Instagram platform as a business, and how to do that, how to brand themselves, how to connect with their community. I didn't know that this was then going to turn into my podcast that I launched, my blog. I didn't have any clue. But what I realized as I looked back, the one thing that drove me and got me up every day and kept me up until 2 a.m, figuring things out and creating, was passion. Yeah. So that's now what I'm doing is I'm working with women. Particularly, I have 2 different tracks. The first track is really this startup phase, is where women who know they are super, super passionate about something. Let's say it's women's health or postpartum, women's health and postpartum, and they know they are really passionate about that, but they don't know how to create a career around it. And they know they want to be an entrepreneur, but they don't really know what to do. So that's one step or one path that I take. And the other one is women who already have an established business. They're pretty sure they know their niche, they know their target audience, but they're stuck. There's mindset stuff. There's lots of limiting beliefs. They're not living the life that they truly desire. So that's the other track that I take with them. And I've learned so much through I did a female founder series just recently because I've been so fascinated by just all of these women and the lessons that they've learned. So I took all of this information and now I'm utilizing it in my coaching program. So it's not even just me who's doing the coaching. It's just all these brilliant minds who are providing all this information. And it's just been such a gift. I'm learning, other people are learning, and I get to create a community. So that's the gist of passion. It's really just kind of exploded in my life.
Well, I mean, you touched on so many different things, and I want to pull out a couple of the nuggets. And speaking from, for the listeners don't know this, but I've known you, Nikki, for a number of years, pre-PAX and post-PAX and all this cool stuff that's been happening for you. And it was really cool to witness the evolution of you and everything going on with your business from the outside, because it really did just start as, oh my gosh, you have this adorable, cute new puppy that everybody wants to love on and pet and see, to you leveraging the skills that you already had in social media. I know you've grown them quite extensively since then, but just started posting pictures because you love doing it, and how that really did unfold into all these different things that you're doing now. And I want to specifically, I guess, pull that out from what you said, because sometimes people feel like they need to have it all figured out. Mm-hmm. And as you mentioned a couple of times, there is no way you could have known back then what has happened now and how it would evolve for you, and that it's continuing to evolve, and it will probably, migrate a little bit or take a few different paths, but it is about following that passion. And if we're not doing that, it makes it very hard to stay up until 2 a.m., like you mentioned, because there isn't that internal drive and passion coming from within to keep it moving forward, quite honestly.
Oh, absolutely. And you don't know. And I don't know the future either. And there is still those days where I'm like, I just want to be there. I just want to. But the truth is I don't even know what there is yet, because I couldn't even have imagined that I would have been here. Yeah. So it's a process. And as I looked back on my life, every single decision, every choice, every person I came in contact with, every job, there's been a zigzag. It has been a developmental process to be here now. And without that journey, there's no way I would have gathered the skills and I would have gathered the mental strength and grit to get here. And because that's really what it does take. I mean, passion is great. We all have it. We all love something. But in order to create something more from passion and to develop it and to put yourself out there and to become a solopreneur, you have to have the grit. And I call this mental biceps. And we work these mental biceps when we're, doing any type of professional or personal development. Is we have to continue to commit to that every day. And passion helps that so much because it reminds you. It reminds you what was fun. It reminds you what is joyful. It reminds you of when you felt most fulfilled. And so you do need that in order to create the career that you love. Now, I heard something really interesting, and I want to bring it up because it's the opposite of what we're discussing. I was at the dog park with Pax, actually, and this gal was asking me about what I was doing, and I was telling her, and I didn't go into much depth. I just kind of shared that I'm a coach and I work with women and I have a podcast, and we just kind of left it at that. And I asked her what she did, and she works at the IRS, and she has a whole team, and she loves what she does. Actually, I'm going to retract that. I don't know if she loves what she does, but she enjoys what she's doing every day. Mm-hmm. She told me a story about her dad saying to never do what you love.